you are responsible for the condition of your world today. I'm saying it like that because that's a message that I received that I wrote 3 years ago, and it was talking about the conditions of our world today. And what I know is that we all contribute to what we see in our world, but also in our lives, and we do both the same way. And it's about the energy that we emit. Every single person is born with something within them that they could give to the world that would make everything become better. But that requires us to move into who we are. That requires us to accept our authentic selves and the life paths that we have had. And that was really challenging for me because I've had all of them. I've moved through so many things in my life, but it was still uncomfortable for me to tell everyone how I had done that. Same thing for most people. We go through things in our lives and we move through them and we accomplish something, but then we become a little embarrassed or ashamed of what we've done, and then we can't tell others and nothing gets any better. If we can't admit the things that we've moved through that were not what we wanted in our lives, how could we help anyone else? You see, the way the world works is that we all are born at a particular time. The world is in this particular condition, and then the way that the world turns out is what we choose to do with our lives. That's every single person. There's no one more important than anyone else. It's just what we choose to think, what we choose to believe. Everything is consciousness. We know that now, and we've seen it and through the sciences that have been developed over the years. But now we're understanding things in a much broader sense because we know through the quantum sciences that's how we create the world. And if you look at your life and you look at where you are in your world, look at where your parents, your grandparents, your aunt, whatever you can remember, it's very different than what it is today. And the reason that happens is because people come into the world and decide to own what they were given and give something to the world that makes the world better. And that's what I'm doing. When I discovered that I had this work that could help everyone during this time, that was unbelievable to me. Just like it's so unbelievable to most people because you don't understand what you've done and what you've accomplished or what you've created or what you've moved through that you could give to others that would cause your life to feel so much more empowered and happy and blissful because that's who we're supposed to be. We're all supposed to live a life of bliss, happiness, and abundance, every single person. But it's also connected to our authentic selves. There's no difference in that. And some people will get it and some don't. And that's just the way it works. But what happens in the world, the amount of energy that we emit, whether it's positive or negative energy, will create the same conditions in our world. But I will tell you, the world's going to keep changing. But if we don't change, then that's when we have difficulty. And that was the difficulty I had. I had so much resistance to becoming myself. See, because I discovered that I was this mystic and a sage and very intuitive, and I walked through my entire life healing everything. I downloaded all of this information for years and years, and but it was so unbelievable to me. How could I have done this? How could have I healed all these things? I'm talking about mental conditions. I'm talking about physical ailments and losing everything and recovering, creating a huge business. All of it came intuitively, everything. And you do the same thing. Every single person does, because all we have is our consciousness. You only think of yourself in a way that you have become accustomed to doing that, meaning you were taught to do that, or you believed it, or you picked it up along the way. So the only way that we create the lives that we want to have and we create the world that we want to have is if we become willing to change. And sometimes that's really challenging. It was challenging for me. And so this is what happened for me, though, which was the craziest story, and I'm telling more of it now. I hid it for so long. I want you to understand that. Well, almost 20 years, I didn't want anyone to see what I was accomplishing in my life because it didn't make sense to me. I was sitting down and writing information every day, and then what the results that were happening, I was healing my life. That didn't make sense to me until I understood that it did, because it's all consciousness. The only thing that happened that was different for me is that my personal development work came in so many different ways, and most of it came from cosmic consciousness that I was able to download, which is why it works for everyone. So in 2021, when I discovered that I had all of this work, I still didn't trust it. I still did not believe that that had happened. Even though I'm seeing the results in my life because everything changed. I mean, You can't even imagine all the stuff that I moved through. So I know what others can accomplish. There's nothing that anyone could bring to me that is impossible, because I know that if you use your mind in a particular way, you can get to any particular place you want in your life, because I've done it. So I can only talk about things that I've done. The only thing I can't do is get someone to believe it. And that was my difficulty as well. Believing that I could accomplish these things, believing that what was presented to me was real. And it's the same thing that I see all of my clients move through. However, I still decided I was going to go ahead. I was going to have to get over myself. I had to change. And that's what we all have to do. If we want to have the things that we want in our lives, they're not going to be in our comfort zone. They're never going to be where we are now. So we have to become willing to step outside of that. And that was challenging for me, because we fear this judgment or what others are going to think or whatever it might be, or we just don't believe ourselves. This intuition, oh, how can I trust my intuition? Can't do that. That's the difficulty. But I've also proven that it's true, and I was able to create a philosophy that I can give to others now. And so in 2021, when I started receiving this information and doubting it, I had to try it. And now what's happened almost, more than 2 years later, is that I'm the happiest that I've ever been, because I have these beautiful people in my group and my programs that are giving me such joy, because it's making me see that all of this was worth it, because they are thriving. They're just making such a difference, and they could change the world themselves, because it only takes a few people. It only takes a few people who believe in themselves that could make a difference. We've seen that throughout history. Certain people decide, I have enough within me that I could help make a difference and cause a change in the world, not only for myself, but for the world. And that's what I've taken on. And it's thrilling now, because I'm not doing it by myself. I have a team, but it's not about me. It's about what I'm witnessing in others who have decided that they were going to get out of their way, start to move through the restrictions and doubts and fears and judgments of themselves, and start to love who they are. And that's what changes everything, because again, it's just energy. That's all that it is. So you will change, because we're all going to change. We have to, otherwise we don't get what we want. But I'm just saying that this particular period in our world is extremely challenging, which is why I've done my work, because I knew people would be afraid and wondering what might happen. What will happen is that if you change and become your best self, then the world would do the same thing. That's all that happens. See you soon.
I haven't done anything like this.
It's increased the confidence that I had in myself.
Everything is better. I mean, every single aspect of my life. My income, the progress is just amazing. Like, you can see changes from week to week.
Introducing your last development program, Life Transformation for Success, the newest part of Roger Burnley's coaching series. In this 3-month online program, you will learn the mindset tools you need to dissolve the shame of your past, discover the gifts within you that make you important to the world, and get the confidence to rise above anything that stands between you and the life that you want.
Everything changed in my life. Everything. Every single thing.
It's time for you to reprogram your mind for success and become self-actualized. If you're ready to transform your life too, learn more at yourlastdevelopmentprogram.com today.